Greetings, parents and children. Today is December the 13th, 2010, Monday. Today in class, we studied the Pythagorean theorem. It's a hard word. Doesn't matter if you say it right. Matters if you know what it means. Pythagorean's theorem, simply put, is a squared plus b squared equals c squared. It's important to understand this theorem is only applicable to right triangles. So we're only going to be dealing with right triangles when we do Pythagorean theorem. Second important thing to know, a squared plus b squared equals c squared. What does that mean? Okay? In this particular problem, you see a right triangle, 8, 6, and we don't know what this side is. Now it's important that you know that this side is called the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse is very easy to find. Every right triangle in any example is going to have the little square in the corner of the right triangle. This leg coming out of the right triangle and this leg coming out of the right triangle are simply called the legs. The little point at the end of the box pointing this way points right to the hypotenuse. I want to say that again. Leg, leg on each side of the right triangle. And you take that corner and keep going, it always points to the hypotenuse. The hypotenuse in Pythagorean's theorem is the c. A squared, b squared, it doesn't matter as long as these two are somewhere on this side of the equation. Okay? This particular problem, a squared plus b squared equals c squared, we're looking for c squared. We're going to take 8, we're going to square it. We're going to take 6, we're going to square it. We don't know c squared, but it stays the same as c squared. Okay? We then compute the squares. 8 squared is 64. 6 squared is 36. We still don't know c squared. It stays the same. Coming down, we have 100. Because 64 plus 36 equals 100, we still don't know c squared. In algebra, anytime we want to get a square by itself, we simply take the square root. Because c squared is just not an answer. We're looking for c, not c squared. So we're going to square this side. And anytime you do anything to any side of an equation on either side of the equal sign, you do it to both sides. Okay? So we're going to square root c squared. We're also going to do the same thing with 100. Okay? Anytime you have a square and you take the square root, it's just the number that was squared. In this particular case, it's going to be c. Square root of 100, of course, is 10. So we carry that down. 10. C squared, square root, is c. Now we know that c equals 10. 6, 8, 10. The answer is 10. It's just that simple. I will give you a little helpful piece of advice. I'm not going to give any numbers that have decimals or fractions as the answer. So if you get something like 6.2, 6.5, it's not going to be the right answer. I don't want the children using calculators for this exercise because I also want them to understand and memorize their square roots, learn their multiplication facts. So you're not going to have anything like a weird number like 39 that has a decimal as a square root. It's always going to be a whole number until they get a couple of grades up. Okay? The next example in Pythagorean theorem, in this particular case, we have a leg and a leg. And remember, this always points to the hypotenuse, which in Pythagorean's theorem is represented as c. This time, we're looking for one of the legs. It's going to be a little bit different, just a few more steps, but just as easy. We have our formula. Always write your formula down and fill it in right underneath it so you don't get lost. Okay? I like to use x because it's a common symbol in algebra, and it doesn't resemble any numbers like a Z resembles a 2. You can use any letter, it doesn't matter. If you use an A here, a B here, a C, use whatever you like. X squared is going to represent this leg that we don't know. 9 squared is going to indicate this leg that we do know. And of course, we do know the hypotenuse on this one. Still going to go over here where C squared goes in the original formula. Okay? Now we do our computations. X squared plus 9 squared, of course, is 9 times 9 is 81. 15 squared is 225. In algebra, anytime we have an equation, we always want to get the x by itself. Here, it's a plus. So we do the opposite of addition, which is subtraction. We're going to subtract 81. And as we spoke earlier about, anytime you do anything to one side, you have to do it to the other side. So we're going to do x squared plus 81 minus 81 equals 225 minus 81. That's going to give us x squared equals 144. Again, we want the x to be by itself and a single letter. Something squared is never an answer. We're going to put a radical over the x squared to get it by itself and get the square root. Straight over here. Of course, same thing to the other side. Square root of x squared is simply x. The square root of 144 is 12. Children and parents, don't forget, always box your answers. Always show your work. But so when I'm checking your work, and this goes for you as long as you're going to be in school, including college, anytime you're doing math, always show your work, always box your answer. Okay? As always, feel free to call me, 210-480-5523, with any additional questions or comments.